Hey friends, it's Kristen Fagan here with Discover Your Creative Magic, and we're gonna do some gratitude cards today. I'm gathering some things up. I've got some postcards that I'm gonna be working on. It's by Strathmore, and I've got some mixed media paper postcards, and what that says on here is it is a 4x6 size, 184 pound mixed media paper. So this one's going to be good for dry media and wet media, and it's got a nice smooth surface, so if you want to do any writing or drawing on those cards, the mixed media works really well. And then I also picked up some watercolor postcards. I wanted to kind of play with both and see how I felt about the different papers. These are also 4x6. They are 140 pound, and they're gonna have a texture. So they'll have like a more of a toothy texture, like watercolor paper, versus the super smooth of the mixed media paper. And these are postcards, so on the back, they've got a nice little spot where you can put in a stamp and the address and write a little note of gratitude. You can also get actual greeting cards if you wanted to do greeting cards too, but I thought I would give the postcards a try, and that they would be nice to have around, that you can quickly and easily write a little note to someone and send it in the mail. You can also put these inside of envelopes if you want to protect your surface a little bit and not just send it directly. You can always put them inside of an envelope and write a message on the back that way too. So I shared with you a PDF file here in the group. It's in the files section, and you can just use it if you want to and print it out on computer paper. What it is a bunch of little messages, like stuff says, I appreciate you, thank you, you're important to me, you matter, thanks for everything. And I did it in a few different fonts, like a typewriter font, a script, a simple, so it looks like this. Some caps, and then you can go through and cut these out and add them to your gratitude cards if you want to, or you can simply cut things out from magazines. You can write on them directly, little messages. You might have stickers or something like that around that you can use, but I thought it was nice just in case you didn't have anything else that you can print this, and we'll just snip it out with scissors and glue it on with either a glue stick or Mod Podge or gesso. So in addition to that, I gathered a whole bunch of little papers. This is a good opportunity to go through any paper stash or things you like to hold on to, little stickers or something, and pull them out. And just to give you an example, like this little piece here is from a birthday card, and I just thought these little polka dots were sweet, so I had clipped them and held on to them. I've got some scrapbook paper, just sort of random bits and bobs, things that you can play with and add to your gratitude cards. But of course you can always just play and paint or draw as well. So you don't have to add all these little bits if you're not into that. I seem to hold on to some random stuff, and I thought a project like this would be fun to pull some of that out and make some cards with. So I also have some painter's tape I'm going to use to tape down my paper, and you don't have to do that. This is an optional step. I don't usually create a border on a lot of the things I do, and I thought maybe I'll try it, So I'm gonna use some painter's tape to tape down the cards and create a little border. Got some little pieces of bubble wrap, some paper towel for my brushes, some water, some brushes, some of these little acrylic craft paints. I just have a couple of colors left, so purple, pink, green, red, black, and white is what I have here, but you can have whatever you got. And I also have my pan watercolors because I wasn't sure which one I was going to feel like doing, and maybe I'll do a little bit of both. So I have these here too. A cup of water and a few small stencils. So I just pulled out any stencil that I had that was kind of smaller in size. There's that one. This is from a pack of tomatoes. I just cut out, this is like the bottom of the tomato pack. I like that. I use that a lot. And this is the side of the tomato pack. I like that a lot too. I happen to use these little pieces a lot. And this is just a stencil that has all different sizes of circles on it. It's got some it was like a ruler, and then had all these sizes for millimeters. So just random things here. A cork. I have a wine cork that you could use to stamp with, make circles. Oh, and I have some what did I touch? I touched something that's all over me already. Something I grabbed a hold of. So I didn't even get started yet, and I'm covered in paint. But I've got some of these little tea bag messages from Yogi Tea. And these are kind of fun. They always have such sweet messages. So you can, next time you're drinking tea, save the little tags and then maybe use them in a future project. So I've got this one here that says, by listening, you comfort another person. And you just add them on as like little messages. Okay, let's turn you down to my messy table and see if I can get this organized. And I'm trying to figure out, maybe it was this stencil that has a lot of blue on it. That might be where I got. Who knows? I'll be messy soon enough anyway, right? All right, there we go. I happen to have this card kind of pop out of my basket of collage papers, so I figured I'd share it with you. This quote, I am grateful for what I am and have. My Thanksgiving is perpetual. And that is a quote by Henry David Thoreau. And so this is the paper I was talking about that you can print out. I put a PDF file in the file section of the group. And then we can just kind of cut out some of these little messages. It's the same messages, I just did it in a few different fonts so that you can choose whatever kind of works for you. And I'm going to get started by just opening a couple of these. So I'm going to put the watercolor at the top. And I'll do the mixed media on the bottom, just so I can have a feeling. You'll see that the watercolor is also like a creamy color, and the mixed media is bright white. Okay, so how do we want to start? It's always an interesting question, right? I think I'm going to start by gluing some pieces of paper down. It's a nice way to get going when you're not feeling sure how to start. So I'm just going to rip up some little pieces and place them down and see how they feel. Okay, so I think that's enough to get me started. And just glue some of these down. I have some Mod Podge here that I will use. You can also just use white glue or a glue stick or some gesso. And then I'm going to use one of these little foam brushes to add glue to the back. And then also some glue on the top and smooth it down. And you can use an old gift card or credit card to smooth it, just using that pressure to smooth it down and get out any of the air bubbles. You can use pages from old books. You can use music sheets. Even if you get like envelopes, like mail, the inside of security envelopes has really pretty patterns. So you get some junk mail or something, you can open up the envelope and save. The inside of the paper can sometimes be really pretty. I don't have any right now, but I have saved those in the past. Give that a chance. And that feels like it actually dried pretty quickly on all of them. One of the things you'll know is if you do tape down watercolor paper, it will keep it flatter, because watercolor, if you're using a lot of water with your watercolor paint, it's going to start to buckle. But if you tape it down, it will allow the paint to and the paper to stay here while it dries, and you don't peel it back until it's all dry, and it'll flatten it out a little bit more. So I think I'm going to use some watercolor to start. So I'm going to grab these watercolor pan papers. And let's play. I'm kind of feeling the warm tones right now, especially with what I've got going on here. So let me start with some of these warmer colors. And I'm just going to add some water to my color, and then just add it as a wash somewhere. I'm going to kind of pick and choose a couple of spots on my paper to add it, and maybe go over some of the collage pieces. And I think I'll add some little more orangey pink tones over here. All right, so that added some quick color. Now I think I'm gonna grab some of my stencil-y bits and add in some of these acrylic colors. Which one do I want to do? Maybe this red cobbler would be nice. It's kind of like a cherry red. You could use a stencil brush, which is usually kind of round, and then stipple a little bit. But, oh yeah, there is definitely some leftover paint on this one, because you'll see that just sort of happened because I put that stencil down. But I like that. So I'm all right with that. I'm gonna pick up some of this cherry red and just paint a few little pieces of this stencil and see how that looks. See how I feel about it. And then maybe do that in another direction on one of the other cards. Kind of like I accidentally moved the stencil around when I was painting on that one, and I like that, so I might just kind of rub. I like when things don't always look perfect and they have a little bit of a roughness to them. And that's kind of fun too, the drier your brush gets. See how that is a little bit lighter of an impression. So even though I'm using the same stencil, because my brush doesn't have as much paint on it, it's coming out much drier. I like that. Maybe I'll just keep going until I feel like I've got all of the paint off of the brush. And let's pick up some bubble wrap. Bubble wrap's always fun. And I have to pick another color. So I've got pink. I've got green. I've got black, but that might feel a little too dark. And I've got purple. Kind of thinking I'm going to try the pink. Let's see if I have any left. So for this, I'm just gonna paint right onto the bubble wrap. And find a spot, just press it down. So you're basically just using it like a stamp. It's kind of fun to do a bunch at once because then you can utilize what you're working on materials and just sort of do a little bit on each. So what do you guys think? Should I bring in some of this caramel brown color, or should I bring in some of this sort of darker green to pull out some of the greens? I'm thinking I'll do my little cork stamp and see what happens. Or I can do one of these, or a bottle cap. Oh, maybe a bottle cap will be fun. Yeah, I was thinking the caramel might be pretty too. It might bring in some of those rich tones of the season, right? So my palette, these are all dry, but it's filthy. Anyone else out there have a filthy palette they work on? We'll just pretend that that's a clean surface, right? I'm going to use this bottle cap. This says Minute Maid on it, so it must have been from something. And then just dip it right in that caramel color. And let's make some circles. Ooh, I think that's a nice color addition. I think that works really well for this time of year. And you can even do, let's see if I do something where I try a pattern. Go from there. Yeah, that's kind of fun. So you can play with all four and see how you like it. Kind of connecting them or not. Maybe you just want them to be like on the edge, so it's like a half circle. So when I pull off this tape here, you'll only see part of it. You can even come back with your card and kind of muck up your circle a little. And let that pick up some paint and just smear it around. Or you can go ahead and tap your card right into the paint and use that to make shapes too. Let's make sure I got it all over. And now you can make little lines. So now I think I'm done with my acrylic, and I'm gonna open up my watercolor again and come back with a small brush this time. And I might just want to pick a few colors just to fill in some areas and maybe bring in another tone. What's nice about the watercolor, again, just like on the collage papers, if you put it on nice and lightly, you'll see all those little bits from the stencil and the acrylic showing up behind it, right? So you don't lose it, you're just kind of adding. And the more water you add, the lighter the color will be. The less water, the darker it will be. Maybe you want to switch brushes and see about using a bigger brush and how that feels too. See. I kind of wish I had a little of this limey green, but to add a little more of it, but I don't have that color right now. Oh, I can add a little bit of yellow. So I used this light green here, and now I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow to it. And that gets me closer to that lime green. I think I'll add some of that right here too. just to bring it from this side also over to this side. I love me a lime green. I used to have a lime green, gosh, I think it was like polyester and suede jacket when I was younger, and I loved that thing. Okay, so now I think I'm going to add my messages. So look back at this page. I have this page in the group files. It's called, I think, gratitude text, and it's all the same messages. It's just a few different ones here, but I added a few different fonts for you to choose from. And let me see if I have a pair of scissors over here. I might have to go get that. Oh, yeah, here they are. So let me cut out one section to play with. This is what it would look like if I went with the typewriter. This is how it would look if I go with more of this kind of brush script. Let's try that one. So I appreciate you. And then let's also so you have an idea of the different looks, and it doesn't have to be straight. You can do it on an angle if you want to. So I'm gonna leave these taped down to my table for right now because I want to let them totally dry before I take the tape up. So I feel them just sort of a little buckling in some places. And then I'll share a picture in the group of what they look like when they're all done. I hope you will find some time to make some cards yourself. And if you don't have the postcards like I do, you can just do this on paper and tape it down in a similar way. Cut out some pieces, tape it down, and you'll have little love notes, little gratitude cards.